Now then, final monkey here. Quick turnaround since the letter M, because it's been much more straightforward this time. A bit more limited in my selection, so I haven't had to agonise all week. So, but hopefully got 5 albums that you might be interested in. And I'm going to start straight off with 1970. This is 5 Bridges by the Nice. And the Nice were sort of prog rock pioneers. They were led by Keith Emerson, the flamboyant keyboardist, famous for sticking knives in his keyboard during the concerts. And this is one of a number of attempts around this period in the early 70s where rock bands and classical music tried to combine and come together. And this one was it's about Newcastle. It's about the 5 bridges of the Tyne and about the city of Newcastle. It was commissioned by the Newcastle Arts Festival, and I think the bass player and singer from the Nice, Lee Jackson, he was from Newcastle, and some of this was performed in Newcastle as well. And they combine with the London Sinfonia Orchestra, and also for part of the album with a group of jazz saxophonists mainly, but British jazz players, people like Alan Skidmore, Pete King, so top level jazz musicians involved as well. And it's the first time I've listened to this for quite a while actually, but I ran through it twice last night and I really enjoyed listening to it. You'd expect, London Sinfonia Orchestra and top musicians like Emerson and all these top jazz musicians, you'd expect it to sound good, and it does in their bits, but I think what this attempted to do was to do something different, to bring those styles together. And I really like it when classical music gets some sort of rock rhythm behind it, because otherwise I find it a bit, this is maybe me being a Philistine, but I find it a bit difficult to stay engaged with a lot of classical music. I can maybe appreciate it. For example, Pavarotti. I wouldn't normally listen to a Pavarotti album, but that stuff he did with some of the members of U2 under the Passengers project, absolutely stunning. And I can listen to that stuff all day. But I think to some extent this album, while it does bring those elements together, prog rock, classical music, jazz, to a limited extent, and occasionally they cross over, for the most part I think it's a missed opportunity. It's almost as if the orchestra do their bit and then stop, and then the band start up and do their bit, and it's nice enough to listen to. It's good stuff, but a missed opportunity. And I think this was the Nice's last album as a band together. Keith Emerson went off, and with Greg Lake from King Crimson, Carl Palmer from Atomic Rooster, he went on, of course, to form ELP, who I do find these days pretty unlistenable actually, whereas the Nice, I think they were breaking some new ground, they were trying different things, and I think it stands up a little bit better than the ELP stuff for me. But anyway, there we are. It's 5 Bridges, the Nice, 1970. Second one, this is 2 years later, 1972, Michael Nesmith, Tantamount to Treason. Mike Nesmith, the monkey with the dut, as we call him in this part of the world, the monkey with a wool hat. Allegedly he wore a black dut at his audition, and at the end of the day, when they were putting together this handmade band to make a TV series, etc., they remembered the man with the wool dut. But he's also known as the monkey who could play an instrument. He was already a guitarist. He'd been dabbled about in 1 or 2 bands, and he was a proper musician. And ultimately, he led the revolt within the Monkees against the sort of handmade, handcrafted pap that they were being directed to perform for the for the TV and film cameras, and that led to the breakup of the band. And since then he made quite a few solo albums. This one I think was his third or fourth. It's one of the worst covers I've ever seen, both on the front and also on the back, where there's a bit of blurb and you think, oh well, fair enough. But what it is actually, it's not about the band or the LP. It's actually Papa Nez, as he's one of his nicknames, his homebrew beer recipe in quite some detail. So it's a bit bizarre, the cover, but the content is good. It's really, really good. It's well played. He's got some good musicians alongside him, and they're a bit of an eclectic mix of songs. It starts off with a real heavy metal-y type rocker, but then songs 2, 3 and 4, so Lazy Lady, You Are My One, and In the Afternoon. Really, really nice stuff. A bit sort of trippy, a little bit psychedelic country-ish in ways, but lovely album. And I think I might seek out some more of Mike Nesmith's solo stuff. So that's Michael Nesmith, Tantamount to Treason, 1972. The next one is someone I've loved since I've very first heard him in the early 70s. This is Willie Nelson, Stardust, from 1978. Willie Nelson, he's just got the most beautiful voice and guitar playing style. It's different, it's unique, it can only be him. The first note you hear from him, it's him. I don't know whether he sings slightly offbeat, there's a bit of a jazzy sort of inflection in there. He's certainly different to mainstream country, and he became known as the sort of first of the outlaws. And I think what he was outlawing himself against was the mainstream country and western sound and the restrictions placed around that. And he wanted, I think, both lyrically and musically to go beyond that and explore sort of different styles and different themes in the lyrics. And he's been an activist as well all his life. His main campaigns are the legalisation of marijuana, but he's also got involved in environmental campaigns as well, and he was one of the pioneers for Farm Aid with Neil Young and Bob Dylan and the like, supporting small farmers in America. But this is, surprisingly for such a fantastic singer-songwriter, this is an album of covers. It's pop standards, it's things like Stardust, Georgia on My Mind, made famous by Ray Charles of course, but a beautiful, beautiful version on here. Unchained Melody, Moonlight in Vermont, lots of others. It's absolutely stunning, and this particular version is the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab version, which means it's been remastered, repressed from the original analog tapes, and you pay twice as much for it as a standard album, but the sound quality, it really brings out the subtlety in Nelson's voice and guitar playing. Absolutely superb. Willie Nelson, Stardust, 1978. The fourth one you might not have come across. This is a band with the unusual name of Neutral Milk Hotel, and this is their second album, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, from 1998. And I totally missed this one first time round. I only seen it in a magazine that 10 years later gave a list of sort of top albums of the 90s, and so I sought it out, and I'm really glad I did, because this is absolutely stunning and very, very different. Neutral Milk Hotel, led by a guy called Jeff Mangum. I'm not sure what happened, why they only had 2 albums, what happened to him and the band afterwards, I don't really know, but this album, start to finish, is an absolute cracker. If you listen to one thing from this week's session, give some of this a go. Either any of the early tracks on it, The King of Carrot Flowers, the title track, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, Two-Headed Boy, or Holland 1945, which I think is perhaps referencing Anne Frank, I think. Although in general most of the lyrics on here are so unusual, you have no idea what they're singing about at all. You know, it's very, very surreal and cryptic, but fantastic album. definitely give that one a go. Neutral Milk Hotel, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, 1998. And then lastly, these are a great band. Top draw band now, I suppose, although they took quite a while to get going. This is The National, an American band, and this is their 7th album, Sleep Well Beast. These were very active in the Democrats' sort of election campaigns, particularly Obama. They're led by a guy called Matt Berninger, who writes the lyrics and sings the songs. He's a great live performer, although apparently suffers terrible stage fright, which he only overcomes with copious amounts of wine. And the musicians, it's 2 sets of brothers, and the music writers are the Desner brothers, and apparently they write the music, and then Berninger listens to it and fits in lyrics with how he thinks that sounds. And it's really, the music is sophisticated, it's atmospheric, the lyrics are often dark, definitely melancholy is the overarching mood. He's very literate, is Berninger, so it's very sort of adult and literate, and often cryptic again, but there are themes in here. I mean, the theme here is about his relationship with his wife, and it's sort of it's a bit grim, really. It seems to be more about endurance than enjoyment in that relationship, but it's great stuff. And these have been sort of called by some critic, the America's Radiohead, meaning that it's, classically trained musicians slumming it in a guitar band. And yeah, the music is stunning and sophisticated, and the lyrics are melancholic, but they're universal, they're relevant. You feel for it. I think this is a double album. I can sit and listen right the way through it. You might feel it's boring. I mean, I leave that to you. But in the it's constant sort of melancholia and stuff. But I think it's good stuff. I'd really like to see these live, actually, but haven't managed to get around to it yet. But that's The National, Sleep Well Beast, from 2017. Okay, that's the quick tour through the letter N. Hope you might join me next time for the letter O, where Mike Nesmith's dut can disappear. See you next time. Cheers.